up, fam? Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. My voice is going in and out, so please don't make fun of me. I think I am sick again. I'm sick. I feel like I'm sick every Christmas. It's like so freaking annoying because I try my hardest to like not be around people that are sick. I'm going to use this box. No, it's fine. I can just pull it up when I need to. So, okay, we're going to turn this direction. Yes. So we have our trusty M cup. I feel like I'm the superhero M. Cody's here. My little thing is here. Thank you to one of my fans that said that they're super proud of me for keeping going and being so positive through all the stuff that I've been through. That means a lot to me that you guys can actually see that, because I feel like I am like falling apart slowly, daily. But thank you for that. That meant a lot to me. Let's do grace. Dear God, bless us, read in Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys. So you guys are blowing up. And I think it's hilarious. But and I'm having some rye bread. You guys are blowing up me losing my V card. Like, that video is at 111 views. And I just posted that, when did I post that? I don't even know what day I posted it. My son said it was hilarious. He's like, Dad, that's just crazy. But in that video, guys, I told you guys the abuse that I got from my best friend. Okay. So, and actually talking about what my fan just said about I've been through a lot and I always stay positive. Okay, so it was 2007 when I met Jeff. And I'll never forget. Okay, so it was our church's first lock-in, right? We were having our first. A lock-in is a sleepover where they lock you into the church, but you have so much fun. There's food, there's music, there's arcade games, there's dodgeball, you watch a movie, whatever's like the hottest movie. You don't even have to do any church stuff or nothing. You just have fun and just you feel safe. To me, it's like a big daycare, but anyway. Fun fact, I actually want to open a youth nightclub because when I was younger, there was one in Ohio, and I was just like, they had a big skateboarding park, and then that was like indoors, and then on the side, you had to be. They would stamp your hand because you only could be. You were from 12 to 16 was the cutoff. You could come in there if you're older than that. That was it, right? It was ran by some old Indian guy. He was super sweet, and him and his wife ran it, and they had food and snacks and arcade games, and you could just watch people skateboard and talk and hang out, and they had like really good music. So I met Jeff that night. Everyone was talking about him and everything. Like, I was friendly with a lot of people, and everyone was talking about Jeff, and I'm like, who's Jeff? And they're like, Jeff is this guy that is really into band and into sports and stuff like that, and he's, his parents were separated. So he always goes to, I don't know if his dad was in Nashville, Tennessee, Arizona. I don't remember where it was, right? So he was like, he's a really cool kid. So I was like, okay, cool. So I left Matt, who was the guy who stole my trip, basically, but I still have nothing against you, Matt. He was a youth pastor, so he was like kind of helping me through my stress and whatever. And he picked me up from my grandparents' house that day. And I went to church early. I had my overnight bag, all that stuff. My little brother didn't want to come because he just got his Xbox, so that's all he cared about at the time. He used to come just for the Xbox. But, no, you can wait now. So Jeff walks up. I didn't even know who this kid was, and everyone's like, yo, what's up? This is Jeff, da-da-da-da. Like everyone's like, oh, Jeff, you're back, da-da-da, how was your time? And I was hanging out with Matt and this other kid, Kevin, or I forgot what his name was. He wanted to be a cop. So he always had like the lot of keys. Everyone thought he was a nerd, but he was just really cool. His name was Kevin something. And he was like his head was shaved, like he had no hair or whatever. Always wore these tight jeans, looked like a redneck, but he wasn't really one. He was such a cool kid. But a lot of people made fun of him because they just thought he was weird. He was just nice. And his name was Kevin. And so I was hanging out with Kevin and Matt, and we were upstairs in the sound system because that was Matt's job. He was a sound system person. So we're up there. Then Jeff came up, and then everyone introduced Jeff to me. We started talking, laughing, whatever. And then I think it was like I think it was like maybe I was hanging out with my best friend Kyle. Not my best friend. Kyle was one of my friends. And Kyle was adopted and his sister was adopted. And so we got super close. I'll never forget. I spent the night at Kyle's house. Jeff for the first time said I was his best friend. Like we were friends. Like we didn't like we hanged out a lot. We did a lot of sleepovers. I went to his house. He came to my house. His parents loved me so much that they had a rule that like no one was allowed in his house or nothing without any, supervision or whatever. But they trusted me so much and they thought that I was because he was a bad kid. They thought that I was a good role model for him. So they would let me come over whenever. So how we would do it is his mom and dad would tell my mom and dad, yeah, we're going to be there. But his mom was a nurse and his dad was, I forget what his stepdad was. So he was like, he was like, so that's what we would tell them, right? And so then, my parents would just drop me off, because my mom is very controlling and very like, and it's smart. It's smart to know where your child is at all times. So anyway, my kid keeps trying to call me. I'm not picking up. Look. Oh, you guys can see yourself. I'm not picking up. He can wait. You can wait, Angel. He's gonna be so mad that I said his name, but I don't care. So anyway, I started hanging out with Jeff a lot. But there was this thing that I noticed when Jeff would get mad, he would like grab my arm or like punch me or like slap me or whatever he would do. It just was like, I don't know if I was a punching bag for him or something. I just was like, maybe this kid has a lot of anger issues. It's whatever, it's fine. So I was like, I'll leave it alone. I won't say nothing about it. So one night I was at Kyle's house. I know I'm talking a lot, guys. I was at Kyle's house and Kyle was like, yo, why do you have bruises on your arm? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm white. I'm like, I'm black. You can't see my bruises. And he's like, bro, I can see your bruises. So he's like, I can see your bruises. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so then Jeff come over that night to hang out for a little bit. And then Jeff's like, you're my best friend. And I was like, wait, what? Like, when did we make that? Like, when did we say we were best friends? And he's like, you're my best friend. I'm like, okay. He's like, you're my best friend, right? I'm like, okay, damn, dude. I feel like I'm being forced into being best friends with you. And then, guys, it was so weird because it's like, I'm straight, Jeff's straight, Kyle's straight. But, dude, it was like they both were fighting for my attention. Like, Kyle didn't have a lot of friends. Jeff didn't have a lot of friends. Jeff was such a band nerd. And then I was like best friends with Jeff. Like we had fun. We hanged out. We did stuff. He came over here. I went over there. I mostly was over there because my parents were working. They were always busy. So, they just were not going to let him over here. So I was mostly at his house all the time. And then at the time, MySpace and Facebook were big, but a lot of kids were told not to be on there because weirdos would be on there trying to talk to kids and stuff. And so a lot of parents wouldn't let their kids do social media, right? My parents weren't really tech savvy, so they didn't really understand what that meant. So we were allowed to have a Facebook and stuff. And we weren't doing nothing. So anyways, back then, kind of like what you can do on Instagram, you could write a story about something. Like you had your top 4 or 5 or whatever friends that you were super close with. And so he had me there, and then he had his sister, and then his brother, and then I think it was like a few other people from church. And then on my Facebook, it was like you could put a car back there. So I had a BMW, and it was green, and it was like so cool looking. And then I had like him, I had I think I had John, I think I had Victor, I think I had some other people that were close to me. And then I had my girl, right? My girlfriend at the time. So anyways, the abuse started getting, I don't even want to call it abuse. I just remember this one time. I'll never forget. He was mad. He was mad at me because I didn't come and I didn't sleep over that night. And I was at Kevin's house. And I will never forget, guys, this is where I thought something was up. This was a little weird. This was like a narcissistic controlling, like I'm all his and like no one else can like have me as a friend or whatever. And it was nothing gay, guys. It was nothing gay. I'm telling you right now, it was nothing gay, but it just was weird to me. So I was at Kevin's house or Kyle. I was at Kyle's house, and we were hanging out or whatever. And I was supposed to go to Jeff's house that night, but he had a football game or soccer game, something like that. And so I was like, I'm just gonna hang out with Kyle until you're done, or something like that, or whatever. But because I didn't pick up when he had his when he was at practice or right before the game, I didn't pick up and I didn't go to the game. He flipped out. Oh my God, this kid won't stop. He flipped out and was like, like all these words. And then he blew up my phone like my son is doing right now. And I had the razor back then, the flat razor. Guys, I swear not. He showed up. We went, me and Kyle and his sister went to go to Publix to get some ice cream, right? And we were talking and we were laughing and we were joking around. And he had this old Bronco, like O.J. Simpson's Bronco. He had one of those. And he was like, see, if I answer him right now, he's going to get mad, want me to cut him out of this video. No, I'm not. You're going to wait. And so, guys, I swear not. He grabbed my wrist right here, my wrist, right? I was so much smaller at this time. He grabbed it so tight that it left like a bruise. And then he was like, get your ass in the car or some shit like that, right? And then his sister was like, she was like, bro, like it's Matt's choice if Matt wants to hang out with Kyle or come with you. And so he was like, get your ass in the car. So then Kyle was like, yo, you don't have to go. But I was seeing how violent he was. And in my head, I'm thinking, dude, you're like in an abusive situation. Like, this is not right. Like, no one should ever put their hands on you. It doesn't matter who they are. And I remember going to his house. His brother was here visiting from LA or wherever his brother was from. And this is around the holiday times. We go upstairs to his room. He wants to talk to me. He literally like back slaps me in the face. Like literally slaps me in the face. I'm like, what the was that for? Like, what is wrong with you? Why do you think that you can take your abuse out on me? But then I thought about it. I'm such a pushover. I let people do whatever the hell they want to do to me. And that's but in my head, I'm thinking like, why is he treating me like I'm a bad kid or something? And like, this is my discipline for not listening to him and going when he wanted me to go with him. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no, this is not happening. So I remember I went home that night, or I went home the next day, right? Because I spent the night, stupid ass. I don't know why I spent the night. Went home the next day. My lip was busted right here. This was busted. My eye was swollen. Like black people, we do bruise. And my mom said, what happened to you? And I was like, oh, I, common abuse syndrome. I made up some story. I was like, oh, I ran into the door or something like that. Or we were playing football and we were roughhousing or something like that. Whatever I said. And I got hurt. So she's like, oh, okay, well, here's some, this is when she wanted to be a mother. So she's like, oh, here's some ice. And she's like, no, I think we need to make an appointment to see what's wrong with your eye. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. Because I knew what they would see. I knew they would see a lot of stuff that's happened to me that I didn't tell anybody. So anyways, mind you, I was still stressed out about a lot of other stuff that was going on in my head. Because I'm like 15. He's like, I think we're the same age. I think he was 15 too. So anyways, I remember I went to school the next day and one of the teachers saw the bruises and was like, called DCF. DCF came. They took me in a room privately. I was like, what the hell's going on? Someone died? Like I was freaking out because I'm never in trouble, right? And so she was like, Matthew, can you tell us where you got the bruises from? And I'm like, I told you I ran into a door. We don't believe that. Is someone beating you at home? I said, no one's beating me at home. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, no, something's happening to you. Like, is someone beating you up here at the school? Like, they were going down the list of like all these different things that it could be. And I'm like, no, like, seriously, I'm always with somebody. I'm not by myself too. No one would, I was just like, no one's beating me. They're like, yes, someone's beating you. Look at your face. Look at your wrist. Like my wrist was still like hurting and stuff. And so they take me to the hospital. They run a bunch of x-rays. They see all this other stuff. And then they see my broken jaw. I said, yeah, I've had that. Like they could see that I had that for a long time. They saw some other things like my face, like different things in my face. Like they could tell that someone was beating me, but they didn't know like how severe and how long. Like they knew the jaw thing was like years and years and years ago, but they knew like the fracture, like my cheekbone was messed up. They saw this all the different stuff. They saw the bruises on my arms. I didn't even know bruises stay a long time. I did not know that. So then I'll never forget. My mom comes in and she's like, okay, I know I'm not hitting you. I know your father's not hitting you. I know your brother's not hitting you. I know your grandparents are not hitting you. Who is hitting you? And I'm like, no one's hitting me. I'm good. And they're like, and then the officer, because the officer was there too, right? Because, they're thinking it's my parents, right? And so the officer is like, who is hitting you? And I'm like, no one, I'm fine. So he's like, okay, well, here's your business. Here's my business card, and call me if you need me, right? Call me call me if something happens. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, thank God. So we come home, they put me on some medication to help with the pain. I come home. I will never forget, Jeff called me that night and was like, yo, did you say something? I'm like, nah, bro, I didn't say nothing. I promised you I went. He's like, all right. And then he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'll come hang out with you tomorrow. I'll pick you up or something tomorrow. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then we went on a summer retreat or whatever the church did, right? They took us to this place where you can swim on one side and the other side is alligators, and you make pancakes and all this stuff, right? And it's still here. It's here in Orlando. So he was playing around with this girl named Tessa, and he was being very rough with Tessa, and she was white, right? Very pale. And he was being really rough with her, but she's like a tomboy. Well, anyways, she had all these bruises, and she's in band with him too. She had all these bruises down her arm, around her neck, all this other stuff. And I always kept saying, I said, Jeff, be careful with her because, it's a different situation. Her bruises will show. So anyways, she went home that Friday night. The next day, I'll never forget. He calls me, or no, that night, so we went home Friday, Saturday night, or Sunday night, we're at church. And he comes in and he's so angry. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, Tessa's mom pressed charges. She said that I abused her daughter. And I have to do anger management for 6 months. And they're taking away my driver's license. And all this, he got in a lot of trouble, right? And it was going to be marked as a felony, but he was a minor. So it went down to a misdemeanor. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, I want to say, you got caught. But then in my head, I'm like, well, bro, I told you. And then he just grabbed me again. He's like, shut the fuck. He was cussing at me. So then the youth pastor saw that. He didn't even know that he was there. And he said, I knew something was happening. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I knew somebody was hurting you here. I just didn't know who because you're too nice and you're not going to rat on them. And so Jeff ran away. He ran. He didn't even sit there and listen. And I remember the youth pastor was like, I know how long this has been happening. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, ever since you and Jeff became friends, something changed in you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Matt, you're usually happy, bubbly, funny, joking around, and you've just been so quiet for the last, 6 months. And a lot of people started noticing things. People were worried about you. People thought something was happening to you. But now we know. And I'm just like, please, please, please don't say nothing. He's a good kid. There's nothing wrong with him. He just has anger issues. And she was like, Matthew, you can't save everybody. You can't. He's like, you could die trying to save him. And he's not even going to know that he's hurting you because you won't call him out on it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. She's like, I think you guys should stop being friends. I think you guys should stay far away from each other. And because she's like, he almost acts like you're his property. She's like, he almost acts like he owns you and no one can be friends with you. No one can hang out with you and whatever. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I didn't even notice that. And he's like, yeah. So what I did was, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings and I didn't want to be rude, I made up this whole, something happened, right? And he found out that I couldn't keep secrets, okay? I made up something. And he sends me this long text message, right? I no longer want to be your unfriend. And my best friend Simone at the time, she had my phone. She read it. And then she was just like, damn, he's going in on you. And then I was like, it hurt. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, I literally took a deep breath. And I'm just like, I'm free. And then she's like, this was the one. I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, hell no. She's like, ooh. Because she's like, I'm your girl best friend. He's your guy best friend. She's like, Kim, he puts his hands on you again, it's a wrap. It's done. Because Simone was like, I ain't playing with people putting their hands on you. You're too nice. Even though she punched me in the eye 6 years later. Anyways, I shoot some shitty best friends back in the day. I've realized that. cut to, it was like my senior year of high school, and we became friends again. And he was grounded, and he couldn't even come to graduation. But his parent, I did see him after graduation. We all went and got ice cream. Me, him, and Kyle. He was still mad that Kyle. He's like, well, you choose Kyle over me, and da 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 da. And Kyle's your new best friend. I'm just like, dude, stop. Like, Kyle's been loyal, best friend, never put his hands on me. Oh, you say that, da da da. Well, anyways. So then his parents found out that I graduated. So his parents are like, my mom and dad gave me 3 parties. So he came to the second one on Monday night after school. And he stayed all night. And then we were outside talking for whatever. And I was just like, yo, bro, like, I didn't see our friendship like being this bad and this toxic. And he was like, bro, like, I have anger issues. I've known I've had anger issues since my parents got a divorce and all the abuse that I had from my dad and all this other stuff. And I was just like, well, just get help. Like, that's all you got to do, get help. But that was 2008, and we still have not talked since then. And it's just like, I've had a lot of abuse, guys. Like, a lot of shit has happened in my life. A lot. And one day, I know I keep saying this, but one day I will write a book. I just got to find the right people to do it. And I would love for you guys to buy it. I will make sure it's on audio book and on at Barnes and Nobles, on like TikTok, everything. If TikTok is still here. But I love you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Tell me if you like this story, if you want me to tell you more stories about abuse and how I've overcome a lot of obstacles in my life and I'm still here. I'm trying to think. I want to tell you guys the story of how my jaw got broken. I do want to tell you that. And how it's me today. But yeah, let me know, guys, what else you want to hear about my life. Because I feel like I haven't told you guys everything because I just kind of like keep it on the surface. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. All right, I love you guys. Bye-bye. See you later.